Okay, well, I guess we'll get started. Welcome, everybody, in here and online. Thank you for joining us, everyone online. Remember, you can ask questions, make comments. Dale will be following along and passing your info on to me. And remember to mute your phones. Is that what I need to say? Perfect. How's everybody doing today? Good. It's good to be back. I haven't done one of these meetings for just over a year, so I thought I was fired, but good to hear that I wasn't. I just was giving a pause. So yeah, I guess I'll be doing a few of these here and there, and hopefully you'll continue to join us. Anybody in the group have any stories they want to share? New listings coming up, buyer needs, fun stories, juicy stories, I hear that stuff. Anybody? Mr. Burns? I need a stand.
17 showings for my listing coming up on Thursday.
Nice. So is it coming soon right now?
Yeah.
Okay. That's not out of the ordinary right now. Yeah. I put one on in Coon Rapids a couple weeks ago, and we had about 60 showings in just a couple of days and 14 hours. Crazy. Any buyer needs? Anyone out there?
I'm still looking for something in the North Metro, like within 45 minutes of Mora, 220,000 or under, something with like at least 1,500 square feet.
Andover?
Too far south.
Okay.
I got a buyer looking for something 500 or under, 3-bedroom minimum, 2,000 square feet minimum as well. North Metro, Lane, Ridley, as well as okay. Coon Rapids, Champlain, Maple Grove, Plymouth.
Under 500. That's pretty
Around
good.
500.
Yeah.
500 under.
Andover?
Great. Brighton, Shakopee. I'm sorry, Shoreview or Shakopee. Shoreview. Sorry, Shoreview.
Left turn there.
Way down. Shoreview, right. But even considering Oakdale and Woodbury too.
Okay. Nice.
I mean, pretty wide swath.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and one in Andover coming up. It'll be just over 300,000. I have a townhome at Ham Lake for 500,000. A Rambler and Anoka for about 270, 3-bed, 2-bath, and a 2-bed, 1-bath in St. Louis Park coming up, 1960s Rambler for 1.5 stories. So, anyone out there has anything that fits those? Let's chat. What's next? Oh, I want to talk a little bit about the foreclosure market. As most of you probably know, I handle foreclosure and bank-owned properties. For the most part, it's a big part of my business. Right now, we can't really do anything because of the eviction moratoriums that our government has placed upon that sector. And that moratorium continues to be extended over and over again. And while foreclosure realtors like myself have lots of properties in our inventory, and we still continue to see them trickle in, we can't sell them. We can't evict anybody out of their home. So if somebody was in their home 2 Decembers ago, that's 2 Decembers ago, and stopped paying their mortgage, they could still be in their home today and not have paid a single dime in mortgage payments. And the same holds true for a lot of renters out there who just decided to stop paying their rent. So I think that foreclosures will start to come again at some point. That won't happen until these evictions are lifted. I know there's a lot of property managers in our office too, and I'm sure they're dealing with the same type of thing with renters. And furthermore, there are no sheriff sales that are happening. So I think that once the moratoriums are lifted, there's going to be a bottleneck at sheriff sale or the counties with these sheriff sales. And once those are worked through, I think that we'll see some sort of rush of foreclosures. I don't think we'll see the same as we did in 08, 09 in that market, but I think it's coming. We just have no idea when. And maybe that'll have an effect on our inventory as well. So that's just my perspective in a business that I deal with. And just wanted to give that update. Next, we have sales stats, website visits, GMR listings update by Jerry.
Thank you, Ed. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
How's everybody doing? How many people we got? Still?
17 now?
17? Wow, we're growing. Our website stats so far in the year, we've had almost 15 or just over 14,000 visitors. Company stats, we have had 150 transactions for a total of 43 million with an average sale price of 288. Through this time last year, we had about 101 transactions, so we're up almost 50. We currently have 50 active and coming soon listings, 44 pending listings, and 48 pending files. And now we should have a new listings video.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, sir.
All right, next I'll invite any lender or title folks to come up and chat, especially the ones in costume.
Hey, good morning. So I just released a video on it. I recorded last night, but the FHFA, if you haven't read or heard about that, they're decreasing the amount of loans they're purchasing for second home or investment properties, and they're capping it at 7%, and they're checking that weekly. So what that essentially then means is rates are going to go up for those types of properties because the ability to sell them to Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac is going to be reduced. So some have already turned it off completely. Some have already raised it up. We haven't yet, but we're going to. So that's coming. So that's kind of a big update for that. So something to keep in mind if you have any clients looking for second homes or investment properties.
Thank you.
Happy St. Patrick's Day. And I feel like I'm Easter on the bottom half, but good morning, everyone. Wendi and Sarah with the Title Group. One thing we want to remind everybody, it's been a year, it's been all over the news, it's been a year since we were shut down from COVID, and the real estate industry really changed after that. For title, buyers and sellers are not in the same room. They're not closing together, and that has not changed even a year later. So remember, sellers get pre-signed a day, a week, they get pre-signed. Before closing, they get their proceeds when it disperses, when the buyer's signed and all the monies and documents are taken care of. So just a reminder on that, that has not changed. We're still handling our closings that way. All right.
Mm-hmm. And it helps too. I mean, for everybody, it's like sometimes it's best just to let your seller clients know when we call them, they are a little confused. Not that I have a problem explaining it, but I think if they know the process a little bit beforehand too, they're a little more easy with what's happening, especially when they hear it from you and not me. So,
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Everyone have a great day.
Thank you. Reminder, tomorrow night is GMR's Ask Me Anything. Tomorrow night, Wednesday, March 17th, 6:30. Joe will be hosting this week's session. Look for that info each week in the broker update. I have a couple of legal hotline items I wanted to just briefly mention. Question: my buyer was sued over a contract before and has sworn off signing anything since. However, he wanted me to act as his buyer rep and protect his interests while I looked for properties. I trusted his word. So we don't have a written agreement. I found a property on Lake Minnetonka, wrote an offer, and it was accepted. At closing, the listing agent said they won't pay because I'm not a buyer rep, and he only offered to pay a buyer rep per MLS. What's going on? Anybody have an idea if this agent is going to get paid? The answer is no. The agent is not going to get paid for that sale that him or her probably did procure for that house on Lake Minnetonka, but he had no signatures. So get your buyer to sign the buyer rep docs. Otherwise, you could really be having a bummer day. That could be $100,000 in commission. We don't know, but Lake Minnetonka properties are right up there. It's a hot market for sellers, and my new listing has 15 offers. Can I email all the offers to all parties to encourage them to compete for the property? Sure. Mohammed's saying no. We have a yes.
Yeah.
The answer is yes, if your seller agrees. Offers are not confidential. If you wish to shop 1 or 15 offers, you may do so if the seller gives permission and you believe it's in the seller's best interest. I've never done that. Has anyone done that?
What's that?
Sent out 15 offers to all the other offers and say, here's what I got? I've never done that before.
Oh, you mean send
Like
all the
show 'em.
offers?
Show the offers. Here's what I got. I've never done that. No. Anyways, you can if your seller agrees. My client has we've talked about this in the past, but my client has a video doorbell that records anyone who comes into the property with audio and video. Should I be concerned about the provision warning about this in our listing contract? It goes on to say you should have your clients consult legal counsel. They may advise that consent be obtained somehow. So I've never talked to any of my sellers about doorbells. Have anybody?
Yeah, the outside, you're not allowed, from what I understand, you're not allowed privacy privileges being outdoors. You know, once you step inside, you can have your cameras on, but you can't have audio.
Okay, I've heard that.
Yeah, audio is not allowed by state law in Minnesota, but you can have video cameras running.
Sure.
That's not a problem, but just not the audio. Outside, it's like being on a sidewalk.
Anything goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not.
Go ahead.
So it's like I know from what I know, Minnesota, one part of the state, so you don't have to tell the other part.
Outside or inside or
Anywhere.
recording?
It's in Minnesota. You don't have to tell anybody that you're recording, whether it be video or audio.
Okay. So place the hidden cameras wherever you want.
That's
Get it going.
Yeah,
I don't think
goes
that falls
contrary
in
what
the
I've
cameras.
heard from every, even
Could you specify in the purchase agreement that your offer is confidential?
Well,
About
I
that
think
sharing
it really-
offer stuff?
What I've heard is from, you know, the question of, can I have my camera with audio going and record what people are saying about the house as they tour inside? And every person I've heard that's come back with that said, you can have the camera going, you can't record them in the state of Minnesota because then you can get sued. And so,
I know the tech class that we took a couple years ago, they were like, just tell your buyers not to speak about the house inside the house. And I tell my buyers straight up, I'm like,
I do that every time.
yeah,
I'm like,
Every
if you're
single
gonna
time.
stay, I'm like, just assume that it's probably recorded. I'm like, so don't give away any leverage that you have. Any negotiating leverage. I'm
That's
like,
smart.
You speak about the house. You speak about it outside. You speak about it in the car. You speak about it on the phone. I'm like, you don't speak about it inside the house.
Yeah, if it's outside, it's away from that front door. Because I have one and it picks up sound in the street.
Yeah.
So you just never know. So it also says the issue is not recording by video, but the ability to intercept and review an audio conversation. So it seems like audio is the bigger issue there. Question was, can you say in your offer that your offer is confidential? I don't know the answer to that question. Anybody?
You know, that brings up another point. I think when just saying that you need seller's discretion to you know, expose those offers, I would say that you also need the buyer's consent to put that back out there.
yeah, if you're showing somebody else's offer.
Somebody else's offer, I don't.
Yeah,
think
you could get,
there's some liability there that if you go ahead and just because you got the, and I correct myself because I think you need both. To be honest with you. If you're gonna publish those offers, you need both parties.
Are you going to publish the entire offer though, or are you just on the phone going to say I got one at 100, I got one at
Well, you
100?
said email, so I don't know at what extent. Now we've got that PowerPoint presentation where multiple offers where you can use, and you can do a snapshot, one-page snapshots, right, for offers.
Sure.
Now, can you purge out information, personal information? I would highly suggest that you do, but I still think, I don't know. I mean, first of all, you need the seller's permission to be able to publish it. And I almost think that you need the buyers at some point, and/or for sure purge out that information.
Well, and related to that, if you have a contingent offer that's getting bumped, you're sending that first page of the purchase agreement, and you don't need permission to do that.
Good point. But do you purge out the information? You don't
I never have.
have him,
There's not a lot of info. Buyer name
our name.
and price and closing date. We can revisit that at a later date. Any other comments on there that we can?
It's hard to hear some people
But good
talking on the
points.
other side of the room. So
Oh.
from the other side of the room, just make sure your voice carries.
Any other? Thank you, Scott. for the input.
I got one more,
Yeah.
and then I'll shut up and get flying them all. But so I got a call this week, pretty interesting, from another agent with a different company who's been licensed for a couple of years, and I won't share any names or whatever. But just a situation. It's an awareness thing, right, for all of us. right? And I've never ran across this personally or know someone that's been in this situation, but this person called me asking basically, got my name from somebody, whatever, had known I'd been in real estate for a while, and wanted to find out if our broker would entertain the fact of transferring their license, right? And so I said, well, tell me more. And this person went on to say that, I have to give full disclosure. Here's where I'm at. My license currently is under investigation. This is how the conversation kind of went. But it's a point of acknowledgement, right? Or understanding and just knowing where we're at times or whatever. Anyway, real quick, the agent apparently put out a post, and this has to do with social media for all of us. How important, how viral, and how visual it is that everybody picks it up. Anyway, put out a post with all the riots and the things that are going on down in Minneapolis, and apparently a certain flag went up and another flag of our country went down. They made a post that, boy, I wouldn't want to live there because it's like we can't even fly the American flag anymore, right? And then kind of went on to have some other extenuating conversations in a thread just with an individual, but it was posted underneath in Facebook, right? And so people could see the conversation that was going on. Now, it wasn't, but it was enough. This individual is being brought up on basically steering. Charges against their license for steering because of comments on Facebook or posts that they made. And then later on said, well, I digress. Unfortunately, I was under the influence and blah, blah, blah. And I'm a conservative. And these are my views and whatever. I'm just voicing my opinion and my views, which I think we all have the right to do that. I mean, I went to war to defend the right to have your freedom of speech. But what I will add or share with everyone is that when we have a license, as an individual, as a realtor, we're held to a different standard. 24/7. That's my opinion. That's kind of my perspective. So it's kind of I've never heard this, but steering and so just know that when you're putting stuff out on Facebook or on your private page or whatever, that when that goes out there, no matter who you are, just acknowledge and kind of be mindful of what we're putting out there. Needless to say, we probably won't take on this individual as somebody that, because right now, I mean, actually they're in the appeals process with the board to be able to see where that, and mind you, the potential fine for that, for steering, is $5,000. First occurrence, never had any grievances against their license whatsoever, ever. Only been doing this for a couple of years, right? So I just bring that to light for all of us to understand where we're at in today's society and the profession we're in and how we conduct our business and what we do. So it's just, I just happened to, thought it was kind of interesting. It's sad that it happened, but it's true. Yeah. It's reality. So we got to really be mindful that we are a professional 24/7 in what we do and how we do. So I just wanted to share that with everybody.
Thank you, Scott. Good points. Mr. Burns?
Did you say who filed the complaint?
Yeah, they did. They know who filed it. Another agent.
There was a national.
Did they have an active, were they have buyers or somebody going in there to just make a comment about a neighborhood?
It was about a neighborhood, and then, hey, if you're looking to move out here,
then that kind of,
looking to move
yeah,
here,
there you go.
that was a catch, right? That was the tie. You can't live here, but you can live here, right? Come live here. Don't live here, live here.
Well,
and that was a comment, and that, I think, is
that's what killed it right there.
Is the nail in the coffin, so to speak.
Yeah.
But, I mean, based on what NAR just passed as far as conduct, I mean, they basically said, hey, you're a realtor 100% of the time, 24 hours a day, and everything you say can be held against you for racism or whatever.
Everything. So,
and I'm going, whoa. I mean, to me, that was a step that went a little bit too far. I think anybody that is, bigoted and whatever, should get, pulled up by ethics. But, you cross the line when you start, because now, who can file a complaint against you? I don't really like that guy. And he made a comment on Facebook. Let's construe that. I mean, when they're hanging Dr. Seuss for child books, who's next?
Yeah, I get it.
It's a slippery slope that I think NAR started going down. And, if it's just meant for good intentions, I think and for, ethical behavior, that's great. But you can see that easily turning into political backbiting and revenge and all sorts of.
And that's why I brought it up, because I've never heard this, and I've been doing this for a little while, and I've never heard a case of steering ever. Not to say it doesn't happen, not to say that it's right, it's not. But what I'm saying is that actually for a first-time offense, that someone in this, a social media post, which is, I think, it's probably more for trying to drum up business and say, hey, come work with me. I don't think it was as much as, I don't know. I guess I don't want to speak to intentions, but.
But pick a different way to do it.
Yeah.
Correct, but that's, but for a first time offense, $5,000, and it seems that they're not gonna, they're, as this person had stated, they're trying to make an example out of me. And, $5,000 fine for, there's got a repercussion, there are for all of us for action. That's why we have the law profession, but anyway, I just want to share that with everybody. Just
Thank you.
24/7, we are professional, and be careful and mindful of how you conduct your business.
Sure.
I was just going to comment that when Ed used to head up our meetings, he had mentioned that multiple times, that you guys shouldn't be putting political or whatever items on your Facebook page. And this is a prime example of what Scott just said. So Ed had warned people, at least here.
Don't say you weren't warned.
Well, yeah, and the current cancel culture environment, you got to be extra careful.
Yep, and that was prior to any of this happening, that Ed had mentioned that. So.
I've got realtors that I'm friends with on Facebook, but they also have their own personal page and use a different name almost. So their business, Bugs Bunny is their personal site.
You'd be canceled out. Can't use those. Cat and hats out, so
Dale's Dirt is up next. Bring it on, Dale.
Okay. This is, well, I don't even think it's something I need to do a visual on, but how are we on the camera? Finally, Authentisign has now, if you pull up to make a transaction and an offer on a property, now the disclosures for that property that are posted are going to pop up in your documents, which is something that I think they should have been doing years ago, but now they're finally able to do it, and they finally made the software updates and made the connection. So now Authentisign or Instanet talks to MLS, and it's able to pull those supplements up. So if underneath the listing picture, you click on Authentisign to create your transaction, and then you go through all the prompts, add your forms, the next step down is documents. There should be those property disclosures. As long as they were uploaded to that transaction, those property disclosures should be right there. So it saves you a couple of minutes of time rather than having to download those, save them, and then re-upload them. They're just going to automatically populate in there. So it's just making it a couple of steps easier for you, saving you a little time, and then you don't have to go find out where you downloaded that thing to, where it got saved to. It's just right there. So if anyone has any questions on the process of doing that, feel free to email me or call me or text me, and I'll walk you through it. So, all right. It's just a little update, something good from Transaction Desk. So thank you very much.
Anybody been to arbitration?
yes.
How was it?
It was great because you know why? Because I keep a lot of good docs, and it was briefly, friends, mom's house, we sold it. It had this really expansive water system in the basement, actually 2 sump pumps and battery backup and everything else. Guy, and we had all the documentation and just presented it. Guy bought the house. He puts in a new egress window. And the first big rain shower, he doesn't have the egress window covered or anything, and he didn't have a drain tiled out into the yard. So water comes into the basement. Well, he filed an arbitration, wanted $26,000 for a new water mitigation system in the basement. And where's the water coming in? Well, at the window.
Sure.
So anyway, went through arbitration and they just told him to go away and think up something better. It was a slam dunk for us, but it's just keep everything. Emails. I had all the emails and all the documentation when stuff was presented, and it was easy.
Well, thank you for sharing. I may come back to you and ask a couple of questions because I haven't been through ever. So I don't have the experience you do, but I want to talk about it for a few minutes here. Arbitration is a way of settling a dispute between a buyer and seller. Typically, it has to do with material facts. And I have heard a lot of water issues going to arbitration. It seems to be one of the main items. So, and typically arbitration is going to be for claims over $15,000. Small claims says that they won't go over $15,000. So you have to have both sides agree to go to arbitration. Did you have both sides?
Everybody signed. Yeah, and everybody has to sign, the agents and the parties involved with transactions, they all have to sign. And so they was all ready to go, so.
And the statute of limitations is 24 months for these disputes. However, in some cases of fraud, a court or arbitrator may extend the 24-month limitation. So I don't really know how that would be extended. Fraud, in my eyes, is probably one of the reasons you're going to arbitration of some sort. Somebody's lying about something. But good rule of thumb that it's a 24-hour period. Both sides do have to agree to go to arbitration and sign the arbitration page. If you have, and that's the second page of arbitration, if you have both parties sign the last page of the purchase agreement, which states they have reviewed arbitration, but they declined the arbitration document, we don't need that arbitration document as part of the purchase agreement. Now, Cheryl may or may not disagree with me. She would like to see the arbitration doc regardless if we agree or decline. Is that correct?
Yep, and I'll just comment because maybe that form is somewhere and Tim and I just don't have it in the office. So we want a pretty full picture of what that transaction is. So we like to see declined or, the person sign it.
Sure.
If you can't get that other side to accommodate our request, we're going to go with that. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we get an email from our agent that says the other side agent says they're not going to sign it. Okay, great. We're going to put that email in the file. So at least that'll kind of collaborate what you guys are verbally telling us if we can't get the signed or declined.
So we, as realtors, will discuss the options of arbitration to our buyers or sellers, but we shouldn't be recommending or telling them to do one or the other. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I think Tim will say that he, when he was an agent, would do whatever his client wanted to do. So if his client wants to decline it, Tim would decline it, or vice versa, because you're representing them. So I don't know how everybody else feels about that.
That's pretty much what I did. So, can you walk us through just briefly the actual arbitration? Did you meet at the house with both sides?
No.
How did that go?
The arbiter met with us. That means my friend and his wife, because they were basically.
You were the seller.
They were the sellers.
Okay.
They were selling it for their mother who was in memory care at
Sure.
the time. And then, so we met with him at the house. And then.
Did he want to see at the house in question?
Yeah, he actually toured and
Okay.
looked at whatever was there. And then we met, and then they were short, and then we, gave them all the documentation that we'd supplied, on the system and on the warranty and everything, plus, all the disclosures. And that's, at least, I guess my feeling is most of the time you get an arbitration, it's because it's a disclosure thing. Well, you didn't really tell us that,
The full truth.
yeah, and that's what this was. I think this guy, they put in in an egress window, and then all of a sudden the big rain, he failed so many places, didn't have a cover, didn't have it, and so he was just trying to get this really whiz bang new system into the basement at our expense, and the guy was very good, and it didn't take long for a decision to come back and say, no, we find zero fault. And
So he met with you, then met with the other side.
Yep.
And then provided a decision
Yeah.
within a couple of days or something.
Well, it was, I think, very relatively quickly. I think we met, and I think the decision came out several days later. I mean, he was very good in his decision, and he goes through the facts. But again, it's a matter usually of who has the facts wins.
Sure.
So if you're sloppy in your record keeping, or all those things, or details, you could still be right and lose the case because the other person that just presented more detail and in providing or trying to support their case or their position.
Sure.
Julie, can I ask on the disclosure, did the sellers previously have or disclose any water issues?
Well, they disclosed that there had been water issues in the basement and that they put in this mitigation system, which had 2 sump pumps and battery backup. And then the detail of the company that put it in, went through and detailed how that system worked and everything else.
So how much before did they put, a couple of years or how?
Well, that system had been working in the basement, I think, for probably 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
And the basement was absolutely bone dry when we were there and everything else. I mean, you could see some cobwebs in some of the corners of the basement, which, basically if you have a wet basement, you don't have cobwebs. But yeah, the system and the thing was great. And then, of course, where did it leak? And this is, well, it leaked right there, right where we put in we cut through the foundation and put in a window. Well,
Yeah.
So, but it was a very good process. I mean, but we laid out a very detailed case and all the disclosures and all the stuff we gave, and we did everything right.
So can I ask you on cost? And I know that's always a question. Maybe I don't mean to steal your thunder, but as far as
You can have my thunder.
Yeah, thanks.
It's a thunder-free zone.
Right. Cost for going to arbitration, and then who ultimately paid it? Did the sellers? Did the
Well,
buyers end up-
because if you're filing for arbitration, usually the buyers who file, they have to pay the fee for the arbitration. You don't, as the sellers, they're not paying that fee. It's the buyer. And at that time, I think the fee was like $495
to file, $490 to file.
Yeah, but now it's a lot more. I think I can't remember. Is it?
I think it's a percentage.
It's a lot more. I think it's gone up to, I don't know if it's $700, but it's a fairly high, it's a fairly decent fee.
Yeah.
And that's to prevent, making much stuff. But yeah, they paid it. And, that was.
So that covered the cost for the arbiter.
That is, yeah.
And there was only
basically
one, or
what
was there a
that
panel of 3?
Huh?
There was only one, or a panel of 3?
No, it's just one guy.
I've
Just
heard.
one come out.
Surprising, because normally it's a panel of 2 or 3.
It's just.
Well, could you be thinking of mediation?
Well, it could be.
I think this is just a one-time, he's an arbitrator, he just came out, and, he was very knowledgeable and went through the whole thing, and again, I think, it's all a matter of everything everybody else told me prior to going in this, was just make sure you got a lot of your facts and you've got all your documentation, because that, usually wins the day on who's ever presents a better case.
And the arbiter was a realtor or not?
He was a past realtor, and I think maybe he did more structural cases or whatever.
No longer licensed or whatever?
He had a construction background and everything else. So he was really quite knowledgeable on house systems. So I don't know if they send people out that, it's
Specific to the,
versus, say, a lot line issue or egress type of thing or something like that. Yeah, but he was very knowledgeable of house systems and whatever.
Good. Any other comments, questions about arbitration? I mean, you really just walked us through the entire process, and I really appreciate that. That's better than I could have done. So, obviously, if you have any questions, feel free to give one of the resource agents or brokers a phone call. Next, we're going to have an agent interview where I'm going to ask Muhammad some questions. And or was I supposed to do that first? Okay, let's go with the questions. Couple of these sales meetings, I'll get it down, so bear with me. But I'd like to welcome Muhammad up here, where I will we'll check for a few minutes. Woohoo! All right. Okay, thank you for taking the time. Muhammad has, let's see, we've got a little history here. 2-year listing, side 5 sold. 2-year history selling, side 5 sold. Tell us about your background, why you became a realtor. Tell us a little bit about yourself to start with.
Yeah. I became a realtor because honestly, like I saw the benefits of owning like a home ownership. So there's studies that show that like home ownership, if you have kids, their grades are higher. It boosts self-esteem. There's lots of benefits as far as like even passing on generational wealth. So if you have a house and you pass it on to your kids or whatever, like that's a way of passing on that wealth that they can sell, make money, sure, whatever else they want to do with it. So I saw the importance of that. Personally, I moved around a lot when I was young. I've lived in a couple of different countries. Originally from New York is where I was born. Lived there for the first few years of my life. Lived in Africa for a couple of years, about almost 3 years in East Africa. So a year and a half in Uganda and a year and a half in Kenya. And then moved to Minnesota since '95. I've been in Florida for a year. And just while I've been in Minnesota, I just moved around a lot. Just one rental property, another rental property. And then when my parents got divorced in 2006, that was the last time like our family has ever owned a house until 4 years ago, I think it was, or 5 years ago, I think it was when I helped my father purchase a townhouse. And that was actually one of my first transactions.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, so I saw the importance of that and how that would have helped me potentially, in life throughout my junior high and my high school years, especially having the same set of friends and things like that. So there's a lot of importance that
important.
Yeah, it's very important. And so I figured like, how can I help people do that? Mm-hmm. And so like I specialize in like first-time home buyers. I specialize in people that have lower credit scores, maybe lower income individuals. I try to reach out to loan officers that are able to say maybe or no, but soon. And here's a plan to get you there. Versus like, sorry, you can't give you this.
Come back
later when you get, when you can afford something. Mm-hmm. Like, that does not sit right. So yeah, that's kind of why I'm in real estate.
Yeah. But why did you choose Minnesota over Florida when it's way warmer?
It is so hot down there in the summertime. Oh my gosh. I mean, just to go to a showing, you need a few changes of clothes.
Yeah, right.
Once to get in your car, then once to get to the showing. Sure. Yeah, so it's nuts. I was only there for a year. I did a lot of animal training, so that's where I got my vet tech certification and a lot of my wildlife handling licensing. So I I do have a Bachelor's of Science in Wildlife Science, Whole System Healing and Sustainability Studies. I'm a licensed spec tech in the state of Florida, and I'm a certified wildlife handler and mobilizer. So I can, I've worked with panthers, alligators, bears. Like that's where my passion really lies. Is connecting people to the natural world.
You gotta go. Panthers, alligators, bears.
Oh my.
And I think buyers and sellers kind of go into that. Panthers, alligators,
Yeah,
bears.
for sure.
Because a lot of it is like just it's training, it's getting people in the right mindset, it's managing expectations, it's not being quick to either judge or be reactive. So I've used a lot of the skills, my patience especially when working with animals, with my buyers and my sellers.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's probably one of the biggest things you need to.
Yeah, man, we're counselors. You need patience.
Oh my gosh.
If you don't have it, you're gonna lose your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely like cultures.
Great stories. Yeah, thank you. So can you just tell us about your, like, where have you been for brokerages? Have you stuck around one or two, or have you hopped on a little bit?
Well, when I first started, I was a family friend. It was by himself. It was just him. I was there for probably about 8 months, 9 months. And that was just kind of like as I got my license, just kind of getting started. He actually moved out of state. And so as he was moving out of state, he was just like, you kind of have to find another broker. Yeah. And so I found, like through that, I was working in the nonprofit field. And my executive director had worked with a realtor who was also a broker for herself. And so I figured, you know what, let's just do this real quick. I really need to go to somewhere. Let's go ahead and sign with her. And that's when I did my first sale with my pops. Helped him buy the townhouse. Long story short, my license did not get renewed because they decided they didn't want to renew their license.
Oh. Sure.
Forgot to tell me that. And so I found out, the same day I found out that they're no longer going to be renewing my license and their license, I got a mailer in my mail from Greater Meadows Realty saying,
Perfect
hey,
timing.
literally the same day.
Yeah.
Like I'm a huge believer, like he will guide you, he will provide for you. I'm a person of faith. And I take the first step and he'll do the rest for me as long as I time my camel. So I take that first step and I continue to work the system. And so I took that as a sign that this is where I need to go. And I came here and I've been happy like since. Mary has been phenomenal as a resource broker, as an owner. Like, yeah, I've come to her for a lot of things, and she's just been there, to help me out. And then the resource brokers here are amazing. So yeah, I'm happy since. I've had a few individuals try to get me from here. Like weekly, I get a call, text message, and message on LinkedIn, like, hey, like, would you want to chat? And I'm just like, you know what? I appreciate it. I'm really happy where I'm at. I will reach out to you if I'm interested.
We could have free coffee like every day if we really wanted to. All the people.
Most definitely.
Can I buy a cup of coffee?
Exactly. Free coffee, free lunch. Oh my gosh.
So, marketing team, perhaps next mailer can say on the top, we promise to renew our license every.
You're right.
Okay, what systems do you currently use? Any systems you're using to help with marketing or transactions?
A lot of it has been referral based.
Mm-hmm.
So over the last, I'm coming up on my 7th year, finishing off my 7th year of real estate, and it's been a lot of referrals. So I haven't bought any leads. I haven't really done a lot of that, and that's a lot of it is I've been part time until May of last year.
Mm-hmm.
So May of last year, I finally said, I'm done with everything else. I'm going to do this full time, and I'm just going to trust.
Right.
And so, yeah, it's been a lot of referrals. I'm starting to work the social media here a little bit. I'm looking for places to potentially buy leads, but
There's so many.
There's so many options. Yeah. So it's kind of like, how do you know where to go to? And
Everyone's the best, though.
Exactly.
The best.
Every conversation you have with somebody, we're going to offer you this many leads, and that's it.
The best. What would you say your biggest strength is? You kind of touched on it. Patience.
Patience. I'd say I get to know people Like that's my biggest thing. Like I'm very personable. You're not just a one and done customer to me. Whether you're in the, $50,000-$100,000 range, or you're in the, $1.5 million, $2 million range, like I'm going to treat you the exact same. Like I'm going to try and get to know who you are as an individual, and then just kind of figure it out from there. Another strength is I am passionate about sustainability and eco-friendliness, and they say it's psychologically that when you purchase a house, it's one of the biggest financial decisions you're going to make in your life. And so if you can help people make other smaller changes, it's easier to do that. So, I mean, simple low-hanging fruit is switch over to LEDs, right? I mean, you're going to cut your energy consumption in quite a bit. Your energy bill, I mean, I did that to my house. I literally cut it 50%, just based from 1 month to the next month by switching to LED bulbs. And it's simple things like that you can help people out with, gardening at home. If they want to raise chicken, like, can you do that in the city? Can you not do that in the city? Like, which cities allow that? Do you have to talk to your neighbors? How many can you have? All that kind of stuff. So I try to go a step beyond like purchasing and selling homes. Like, let's figure out what your life wants for that.
I like it. Great. Lastly, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I see myself with just forming a team. My brother wants to get involved in real estate, and he's like 16 months younger than me, so I'm trying to get him to take his classes and start getting involved with that a little more. My sister already helps me look for homes for my clients sometimes. Like, she'll send me listings like, hey, I know you got a client looking for this, like, have them check out this house, something that I may have missed or something that just came out, right away. So I want to get her involved as well. She's great with social media. She's actually finishing off her bachelor's in like HR and social media and just kind of like online presence. And so I'm trying to work that angle a little bit. So definitely a team, getting more into the commercial side and bringing in that sustainability. I'd love to be a builder in 10 years. So just be one of the first, eco-friendly, sustainable, affordable, builders around. Sure.
Okay, is there anything I haven't asked that you wished that I would? Well, I really appreciate you sharing. Very fun to learn about you a little bit, especially the Lions, Tigers, and Bears. So, yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Now what? Now we can do the Buck winner. Bucks winner? GMR Bucks winner. John Farris. That's the guy that I saw on that new listings list over and over and over again. I don't think he needs the Bucks, but nice work, John Farris. Let's see, what do we got next? Next week's meeting. Guest speaker, Evan Newman with Cutco closing gifts. Those are the knives.
Yep.
And butcher blocks and all that stuff. I have some Cutco knives in my house. And, love them. Guest speaker is Joe Vesey with First American Exchange Company, speaking on 1031 exchanges.
I have your question.
That'll be interesting, yeah. Absolutely. Anyone done 1031 exchange? Okay. Yeah. I have not, so maybe I should listen in next week. Just for laughs, inspirational quote. Sweet Assist workshop today. Oh, yes, Sweet Assist workshop is canceled for today. That was to be right after this meeting. Is that correct? Okay. What?
That's all we have.
Oh,
That's it.
that's all we have. Okay, Just for Laughs is going to be saved for next week, so stay tuned for that.
As we all laugh.
That was enough. Well, thanks everybody, both online and here, for joining us, and looking forward to seeing you guys next week. Make it a great week. Thank you.